So, what is your name and what branch did you serve in?
My name is Richard Jablowski, and I was a rifleman in the infantry. I served in the 104th Infantry Division, known as the Timberwolves, and I was in the 413th Regiment, and I was in Company K.
Okay. And you were at Fort McClellan for basic training?
When we first were mustered to go into the service, we all were brought together at an armory up here. They put us all on trains and sent us to Fort McClellan, Alabama, to get indoctrinated into the Army, and that was an infantry basic training camp.
And then after that, did you go anywhere else?
Yes. After we were through with the basic training, naturally we got more training along the way, although it wasn't as concentrated as that was down there. But from there I was moved up to Maryland, and from Maryland they sent me up to northern New Jersey. Now these are all Army camps that we were in. And from northern New Jersey, they put us on a train, rode us across the tunnel to New York. They put us on a ferry. That ferry docked alongside of a great big luxury passenger liner that belonged to France. It was called the Ile-de-France. And at the time, France had already capitulated to the Germans, so the British took whatever they could from there, which included this passenger liner, and they used it to transport troops.
Okay.
Now, would you like to know where it took us over to
Yeah.
seas? Yeah. Well, when we got on that liner, they took us across the Atlantic, way up north to a point in northern Scotland called Greenock. Now at Greenock, we got off of that ship, they put us on a train, and it took 24 hours on a train to go from Scotland all the way down to the southern tip of England at Southampton. At Southampton, they put us on another troop ship to cross the English Channel, and they took us to Le Havre, France. And that's where they disembarked us there. And when we were at Le Havre, France, we were issued equipment like rifles and more winter blankets and stuff like that, in preparation of being sent to the units that we were going to be in. With us, the group I was with, which was hundreds of men, but we didn't come across with that division from the United States. We were what were called replacements. And the name should be obvious.
Yeah.
As they got wounded and shot, they needed to be filled up again, and that's what we were, replacements. Yeah.
Is that how you got sent to Germany then?
Yeah. Well, we first went from France. We got put into the 104th Division, and on the part that I was. We went through Holland and then just scooted through Brussels, or Belgium. Just scooted through Belgium, and we really got into it when we crossed from Belgium into northern Germany.
And you fought in those towns when you were passing through, and then when you got to northern Germany,
At northern Germany, the first place that I recall, that I remember the names, some of the names I forget, you know, small towns, but the town there was called Aachen, and it was in the northern end of Germany, and it was a big industrial center, and that's where we got initiated.
what happened when you got to that area?
When we got to that area, well, even before, we were, you know, they call our names and say, okay, you're going into K Company, and you get whacked up into the different little units, you know, that you belong to. Yeah. And from there, that was your home, that was your unit. I was in the 3rd platoon, if I remember correctly, 3rd platoon of K Company. The K Company I'll remember forever. But that was my unit. That was it. And the men that were in it, naturally you become close buddies because, oh boy, you can't get any closer than that. Yeah.
And it said when you entered one town, you were in the back of a yard.
Yeah, well, see, as you're going through, you go through many towns, and it's more or less, in a way, it's repetition. But there are some places where they stick in your mind for one reason or another, and the one that sticks in my mind was when we were, the whole company, it's about 200 men, we were going to go into this one town, door to door, to clean it out, right? So we all entered this one backyard as a starting point, and we're trying to sneak in. Now, they must have found that we were there, and they start lobbying shells in. Well, there's 200 of us in this small yard, and you're all covered over like this, hoping it doesn't get you. But you're in there like sardines, and you're licked. If it comes near you, you're done. So thank God some got it, but some got away, and thank God I got away that time, you know. And but that's why I remember that place. We were like sardines in a can.
And then it said you eventually ended up at the Rower River?
Yeah. Well, there again, there were places, you know, other towns and all that you go through and all. And the one big thing on that I was asked so many times was, what about all the people that lived there? They evacuated all the people to the far central part of Germany for safety. That's their citizens, right? And we walked into town, and it's just deserted. And naturally, it's, you know, as you saw pictures of different places, when they finished bombing it, man, it looks like just leveled bricks, you know? But we didn't encounter civilians. We encountered the soldiers, the German soldiers. You know? And when we went through the other towns, and the big thing that came up, which will always be in my mind, because I was shot then, right? But we came to this place along the river, and it was a big abandoned factory where they made blankets. So that's where we holed up. Well, thank goodness it was a brick building, you know. So we were holed up in this building until we had orders that we were going to cross that river. Now, when we were getting ready to cross that river, the engineers brought down, oh, I don't know how many huge truckloads of these wooden assault boats that held 10 men. Now they lined them all up and down the riverbanks under fire. Yeah. And then we got the order, you know, okay, everybody get in, we're crossing. Well, with me, I had 1 foot in and ready to go when they got me with the shell and they shattered my leg with the shrapnel, you know. So that was the end of me. And out of our platoon of 35 men crossing that river, only 7 made it to the other side. Now they weren't all killed, but some were killed, more were wounded than killed, but only 7 men made it to the other side. That's how fierce that was. Oh, that was horrible, you know. And from there, well, I didn't get to the other side. I was taken back, and they set up as close as they can to be practical what they call a battalion aid station, where they have some doctors there and they bring back the first wounded. And it's more or less like, hurry up, put a patch on this guy and we'll send him back for more. So that's what that was, the aid station. They patched you up as quick and as good as they could, put you in an army ambulance and sent you back quite a distance to what they call the field hospital. Now, a lot of people here would know what a field hospital is if they remember the movie MASH. A field hospital was all tents set up, and they had doctors and nurses there, and they operated on the people there. But it was set up with tents, operating rooms. Now, after they did a little better job than they did than they could at the battalion aid station, then too they put you in the ambulance to send you back further. And the thing that I remember about it, everybody's being carried on a stretcher to the train. All the seats are out of the train, and for as long as that train is, all it had was bars. And they slid each stretcher onto those bars. It was just bodies all the way on there. And they had nurses on the train, and they had doctors on the train to care for you. And the one thing that I didn't know what to do, think, or say, but they utilized the German prisoners to carry the wounded onto the train. And when I looked up, I see a guy in a German uniform. I said, oh, wait a minute, did we lose? But it wasn't that. They just used the prisoners to carry the men, you know. We got put on a train. They sent us back to Paris, France, to a regular big hospital that was taken over by the military. And there they could, you know, really do more. And those that they couldn't do that much to, they shipped back to the United States. Well, I was sent to this general hospital in Paris. I was there. And then when I was ambulatory and able to get around, they put us into a rehab camp. And from the rehab camp, put you on a train and send you back to your unit.
Did you go anywhere else after you got sent back to your unit?
After we went back to the unit, well, it was the same thing. You just, you know, you're back home again, you know, with them. And it wasn't too long after that when Germany surrendered. VE Day, Victory in Europe. And thank God. And it hadn't been too long. Of course, at the time, you think it's never going to come. But when it was over, then when it was practical, they sent us back to, they had all these camps set up to start shipping you back to the United States. And that's the circle that I made, through the camp and back to the United States.
And you won some medals for doing this?
I got some medals. Well, later on you can get pictures of them if you wish, unless you want to try to get it now, do
I
you?
can try and get them.
All right. I'll try to explain it to you.
Okay.
Can you get them?
I got some of them, and just point to one and I'll...
Oh, well, I'll
flip it
point
over.
to them. Maybe you can pan over to it then, okay?
Okay.
All right. Now, this purple one with the gold border,
Yeah.
that's called a Presidential Unit Citation. And that's given to a unit for what they considered honorable performance, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's issued by the President of the United States. Now, below that is, they call that the Combat Infantry Medal. And if you're a rifleman and in the infantry, after you're there for a little spell, you become eligible for the Combat Infantry Badge. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, below that, that's a medal that's so prominent. That's the Purple Heart.
Oh.
And it choked up. When you get shot up, enemy fire, you get issued the Purple Heart. Next to that is the European Theater of Operations, of where the operations that you were in, and that's what that was. Now they issue you battle stars for the big battles that you were in, you know, and we had two battle stars. Next to that is a Good Conduct Medal. And, you know, you say, oh, he was a good boy, but it's not that easy. Not that easy to be good. And then next to it is the American Theater of Operations for taking care of all what we have here. And next to it is a Victory Medal. And next to that is a medal from the state of New Jersey for serving in the military. And this one here that hangs around your neck is from the Gloucester County for their honoring all the veterans who fought. So that's it. Now up here, that Timberwolf is the shoulder patch for the division, Timberwolf Division. And this little shield here with the seagull, that's the 413th Seagull Regiment. And I always kept this little one here because we were issued that after our basic training, that we completed basic training. And this, for every time you qualified for something, they gave you an extra one of these to put on that you qualified for, you know, for hand grenades, rifle grenades, planting mines, or whatever you had to do, but that you qualified for that.
Oh.
And
Okay.
I guess aside from that, that's the medals.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, that's the works. And actually, I am very proud of them. So that takes care of that part of it.
Okay. And you also were got an interview before and were put into the honors
Oh,
memorial?
well, I think just about everybody who was in World War II through all the years has been looking forward to the new memorial that's going to open in Washington this Memorial Day. And my name was put in to be inscribed on that memorial somewhere. I don't know where, but somewhere it'll be described, because an awful lot of men. And so to get that your name is going to be inscribed, I was given the paper with a mug to commemorate it. That's all.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll get a picture of it then.
Yeah.
I can make it. There it is. Okay, well, thank you so much for doing this interview for me.
Well, I feel honored.